have guests joining me here. Chief John Ugonna, Greg, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So I have Comrade Deli Ajufo as well here. So Chief John Ugonna, what's your perception, what's your perception on Nigeria and vis-a-vis the whole election issue that we are discussing in Anambra State?
Well, that's such a wide question. It'd be difficult. But I would tell you.
So you can break it down. Let's start with Nigeria. Let's start with Nigeria before we narrow it down to Anambra State.
Nigeria is got so many things going on that are that create lack of trust among the people of the country. Things that are going on in the government. I'm talking about the federal government, and it translates down to the states and the state governments. That it just leaves a sea of mistrust. And when you have mistrust, nothing good comes of that. Nothing good globally. The image of Nigeria from the outside, it's just absolutely bad. Personally, I've engaged with many people in the South and through the Middle Belt. These are good people. These are people who want to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing for each other. But they live in a country where the federal government does not have their best interest in mind. And when you have something like that, it translates down to probably the next part of the answer to the question. It translates right down to the floor, right to the floor of humanity in the states. And what's going on in the election anyways is it's the same as all the elections that have been going on over the last handful of years, including the presidential election, where you can't trust anything. People just give up. And when they give up, you end up with what we have today. You end up with, and this is the third part of the answer, you end up with an economic mess in a country that is so blessed with natural raw materials. I've done an analysis before where I looked at the country relative to other big players in the world. And Nigeria is blessed with the same level of resource that the United States has got. It's got all the same, in fact, it's got some things that the United States doesn't have. It can grow incredible, profitable crops, but because the country has no trust, it can't capitalize on any of it. And so the GDP, the GDP is a tenth of what it should be. Once again, it all comes down to it destroys the trust in the country. And when you have no trust, you have what we have today. But
the destruction of the trust that you talked about stems from somewhere. The destruction of the trust stems from the center. The destruction of the trust stems from the government itself. The inability of the government to either think right, to act right, and to do the right things.
Sir, you are exactly correct. The government has a completely different set of agendas than what is right for the people.
Exactly.
And people can smell that. I mean, the people in Nigeria are very industrious and they're quite clever. And certainly the people in the southern 2/3 of the country believe in education. They're fairly educated. And at the end of it, they know what's going on. This is ridiculous. When I look at what's going on, it's ridiculous. Everybody knows what's going on. And yet, through manipulation, the federal government ends up putting their agenda in place, and everybody is suppressed. Everybody's suppressed because of it. And at the end of it, what do you have? You have massive mistrust. And personally, I think what's really disappointing for me, because my primary home's in the United States. For me, it's particularly sad that countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, the big players around the world, they don't invest enough time, proper time, with the proper resources to come and actually understand what's going on in the country. And so it doesn't make their agenda. What's going on in Nigeria should be right at the top of everybody's agenda. And at the end of it, if it were at the top of the United States agenda, they'd come and do something about this. They'd come and help. They'd come and help the people. Let's face it, Nigeria is the jewel of Africa. That's the way I view it. It's got so many great people. It's a center of population. It's got massive natural resource. It could play as a partner, a powerful partner in economic development, in how should I say, the social development at the global level for Africa.
Now,
but it's all on hold. Okay,
may I ask you this point blank question? Do you believe that do you believe that it is not in the interest of the West, quote unquote, that includes America and its allies, and to see a prosperous Nigeria, a Nigeria that could become a threat to the West?
I think it's just the opposite. I think it's not a threat to the West. It would be an opportunity for the West.
No, but the West, no. But aren't you a believer, or are you not seeing it, that the West profits when the country is in the current state of being incapable of doing anything? So in that case, staying in this position profits the West, as opposed to if they wake up, start doing the right thing. Obviously, you want to come in, there ought to be serious regulations as to what you can take out, as to if everything, like in the case of Iraq or recently Libya, let's put in chaos there, and we come in and we'll do whatever we wish to do and move out. No one asks us question. Don't you think so?
You know what? You're correct. That's the way it is. That's the way it's playing today. But you know what what the truth really is? The truth is that if the resources and the people of Nigeria were allowed to excel the way they could, they would be a much better partner. It's much better to have them as a partner than to have them as a sink where people steal from it. You know what? That's when you steal something from somebody, you get something, but you know what? You get 1/1,000,000th of what you could get if they were actually allowed to be a partner. It's so much better to have a partner. You know what? The standard of business, how business works well? Mm-hmm. It's when both partners do well.
Yeah.
You don't have business when one side does well and the other guy does poorly. Eventually, you know what happens? You get zero. there's no business. The business goes, it dies.
Mm-hmm.
Business works well when both partners are doing well. That's the best business. And then you have a powerful business.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have growth. You're really capitalizing, instead of taking advantage, you're capitalizing on the raw material, on the talent, on the brain power, on the collective intelligence of both partners. That's how I see it. The dance floor is really big. The limited way of thinking is that the dance floor is small. The West, some of these Western countries only think they're the only ones who should be on the dance floor. Big mistake. The dance floor is huge. There's plenty of room for many partners who are doing well, who become powerful to dance on the same floor. And at the end of it, that's what Nigeria should be, one of the partners dancing on the dance floor. And we'd be able to capitalize on all of the things that aren't being capitalized on today. Today, what happens? People stay at home. That's what I view about stay at home.
But I think if I just oppose the African continent and especially Nigeria, and if I just oppose that to the relationship of the West with China, where one could argue those are win-win. Now, just opposing that means the challenge we have here is the inability of Nigeria and Africa at large to do the heavy lifting in order for you to come up, to certain level of parity with your partner, to become an equal partner, not to be the partner, at the bottom. Now, having said that, I think give or take, the bottom line remains that people need to wake up and do the needful. It's only when you've done the needful, the things, you put the infrastructures in place. Then you can go for technologies you do not own. You steal some. Everybody does it. Send your people to go learn certain technologies and bring them, and you develop your own. You begin to have what it takes to actually compete with others. Individually, as you are very aware, Nigerians are a very blessed people individually, globally. Look at today, one of the best surgeons, World Trade Organization, name it. You have brilliant Nigerians representing and doing the right things, but aggregating it to form that critical mass is where everything appears to fall apart. Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. And I'm telling you, it's back to the point I was just talking about. That this goes back. This is an old American adage, where it was actually, together we stand, united we stand, divided we fall. And today, the way Nigeria and many of the countries in Africa are played, and played is really the right verb. They're played by the Western countries. It's not united. It's just massively divided. And what ends up happening is the West is actually massively divided from the potential of Africa, and it's falling. And what happens? All of the incredible potential. It's not just economic potential. I've been talking about economic potential, but I'm a businessman. But you know what? Beyond economic potential, the cultural potential, the historical potential, the history of the world. We're leaving half of the history of the world off to the side because Africa is not celebrated the way it should be globally. There's a huge miss on so many fronts. I'm telling you, I've done a lot of stuff in my time. Very, with respect to the world, would say, oh, he's quite successful. He did all this and he did all that. But I'm telling you, when I started getting engaged with the Igbo people in the Southeast, I've never done anything in my life even close to what's going on in Igbo land in terms of potential. Every time I look, I just see massive potential with the people. And I just repeat the same points because you know what? Those are the key points. It's the potential of the people. It's their heart, their desire, their connection to their history. It's the surroundings, the natural resources, and all of those, instead of being stolen, which is really what's going on today in Africa, things are being stolen from the continent, stolen from Nigeria. And instead of that, they could be developed. Lots of value could be added to those materials locally. And then the local people then would start to invest more. The thing would snowball in the right direction. They'd have more income, better education, extract more of the natural potential of the people, and the contribution to the world would be better.
So now, do you consider that? You talked about the potentiality within your association with the Igbo nation, and do you consider that Nigeria and its current state and structure inhibits that potential from manifestation, or is it something?
That's an understatement.
Okay.
That's an understatement. It massively inhibits the potential. Today, actually, the federal government in Nigeria, as sad as it is ridiculous as it is, they have no desire to free the potential of its people. They want to do the opposite. They want to trap and enslave the people and keep them in their space. And you know what? That there's an agenda. Their agenda has to be so evil to have that platform, to have that point of view. It's hard. It's almost impossible to try and understand why they think the way they do, the federal government. I'm at a loss. And they clearly don't understand that business works better. All things actually work better when both sides do well. When people who are not of their ethnicity do well, they think that's a good idea. It's just a completely wrong idea. We're made to be in community. God made us to be in community with each other. God had the right idea, We should be capitalizing on the best of everybody's ability and potential. And the system would just go positive. They're a mystery. I tell you, I've never run into anything like the Nigerian federal government. They're just a mystery to me. They're a completely wrong way of thinking crowd.
It's not only a mystery to you. I think it's a mystery to many of the citizens as well, myself included. I mean, I think Comrade Deli, there, are you there? I don't know how. I think you're in a very noisy environment, Deli.
Yes, let me go away from here. Sorry.
You're in a very noisy environment. So, but like I said, Nigeria is a mystery to I think to Nigerians themselves. They don't even, if I must to be honest, they don't even understand what it's happening. Now, before I let you go, let me drive down. Obviously, the election is what is the topic of the discussion today is on Anambra, and I do not know what you know much or how much you know about Anambra, and about the election vis-a-vis the comments you made talking about potentials. You know, what's your take regarding the election, you know, vis-a-vis the potentials that the Igbo nation, not only down to Anambra, can actually have?
I'm telling you, if they screw up this election, and and by screwing it up, I'm talking about by not letting the people vote with their heart and the way they want to vote, they're going to take a deep step in the wrong direction, further into the hole, further into mistrust. I'm hearing different bits already today that certain election polls, the electronics aren't working, nobody's voting. It just smells wrong to me already. But by the grace of God, I hope that the truth that would come out in a complete, honest, forward, technically well-run election, that at least that comes to bear, regardless of the poor intention that the federal government's got on, and that the state government's got even. This mistrust, it filters down even to the state level. And a place like Anambra, which is really part of the heart of the South, of all the South. I'm talking not just the South, the Southeast, all of it together. Anambra is like right in the middle of it. It's a well-run, or not well-run, but it's clearly a state that's got huge potential. It's got universities in it. It's got professional people living there. It's got a dynamic population. That's why we want Anambra to have a clean election. This would be a great start for the country to do it right. Do it right first in Anambra. And then it would start to milk. Well, it would start to, but you know what? I don't know. When you sit down, and how many discussions have taken place among Nigerians today and over the past month about Anambra? I've sat in quite a few official meetings. I've had private conversations with so many people. The trust just isn't real high. And when there's no trust, there's no hope. You know, the longer you have no trust, hope begins to disappear. Without hope, you don't have a chance. So, please, I ask the good Lord to descend on this situation in a real serious way and make sure that things turn around.
Oh, thank you very much for your wonderful postulation and contribution. So, Comrade Deli, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I left the noisy environment. Sorry about that. My son and my grandson came to visit, and I've been in UK for about 5-6 weeks. I haven't seen them, so they sauntered into the living room. That's why it's salutations. Yes, I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. So obviously you've listened
John,
to what
it's nice to see you.
Dylan, yes, how are you doing, sir?
I've been listening to him. Yes, I have been listening to him.
So yes, we need to wrap up. So
but he's right. Until we get it right, Nigeria. You see, the problem is the leadership of Nigeria believes that by holding some people down, they're enjoying some degree of expressing some degree of authority.
No.
Yeah, when you hold me down, you're holding.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right, John.
Exactly.
John, let me explain what I'm telling Mazi. Is okay now. When you hold me on the ground, you yourself will remain on the ground.
Exactly.
So you're there with me. There's no room for development, and this is what these charlatans do not understand. We have. I listened to Mazi mentioning Okonjo-Iweala and so. We have a plethora of intelligent, articulate leadership in Nigeria, particularly the southern part. In fact, let me say, mainly in the southern part of Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, the leadership, there's a saying in Hausa, and that is the dictum they have brought into governance. Let us chop today, tomorrow God will provide. There is no saving culture, no developmental culture in the minds of the northern leadership. They don't care. We're talking about corruption. The most corrupt elements in Nigeria, the northern leadership. We have evidence of how they are building mansions all over the place from nothing. You were nobody, they brought you to government. How did you acquire this wealth? I was talking to my wife this morning here in London, and you know what she said to me? I pray that God gives us a Rawlings. For years after Rawlings, Ghana remains sanitized. It's declining again, but nowhere near as bad as Nigeria. It can never be as bad as Nigeria. You wouldn't get, most industries are leaving Nigeria to go and invest in Ghana. So, John, I hate to ask for help because in London here, we have at least 8 Igbo people as councillors in government, London. We have about 4 of them in the House of Parliament.
Yeah.
I had occasion to meet with some councillors in June, sometime in June here. They all mean well, but we need the lobbying power. John, you and I spoke recently. You don't hear news about what is going on in Nigeria negatively. Everything is positive. And yet we see it differently.
Of course.
We see it differently. And these northerners are using our oil money to buy our silence, our non-talk. So it's something that has to be done concertedly. And I hope to God that our associations will yell, talk loudly, and let the world see that unless we have a restructured Nigeria, we'll become charlatans and we'll be dependent on you people. If there's war in Nigeria today, America better start closing their border. Because Nigerians will just, if they have to walk to America, they'll walk there. The amount of refugee crisis we'll have emanating from Nigeria, if it blows up, it's unimaginable. Very unimaginable. And they can't keep us down forever.
That's a given, and that's a very fantastic place to anchor. It's Chief John Ugonna Gary. Thank you very much for joining me, and Comrade Delia Jufo. Obviously, we have seen the Anambra State election up to now, how the election has been happening, and things that one would never imagine that would happen up to now in an election that was planned ahead of time, almost 1 year ahead of time. Yet we came in here, everything still fell apart. There is no infrastructure to carry the devices that they were supposed to use to do the electronic transmission. People could not be accredited electronically. And there are also, things that I have argued and I've said on this platform many times. These are things that are avoidable. Avoidable. Where is the basic sense of project management? Where did you first run all these things? And even up to this week, all we heard from the INEC chairman is, everything is ready, we are ready, we are on top of it, on top of it, on top of it. Now? There is no, honestly, it's
very funny.
It's just ridiculous. Makes everyone
ridiculous.
Sometimes.
Well, I take solace in the fact that Anambrarians have woken up. They're not going to take this line down. They cannot immortalize Anambra. It's going to be very difficult. But we don't want any conflagration in Anambra because we want peaceful. Anambra has been very peaceful all this while.
The most peaceful states.
But Hope Uzodinma said that they have tactics to capture. You don't capture an election, you win an election, for God's sake. So when they make this language, it leads, beggar belief. What do they want, for God's sake? Why should I want to lead people who don't want me? I belong to an association. I've been the president for 8 years. I was begging them that I want to step down. Elevate me. We have a board of trustees. Make me chairman of the board of trustees. But the execution, I've lost ideas. I cannot go anymore. I fought to establish this organization. And even here, they're telling me that I'm not going anywhere. But I'm forcing myself out of the place because I need new ideas. I need new young boys. Why should I lead people? And they want me, but I'm telling them I'm saturated. I have no new idea to bring to this organization.
Anyway, gentlemen, as we say in Igbo, Ogbuopi na-efichakwa n'ọnụ ka nje ficha ọnụ m
I know you have to go and have lunch. Sorry, I had to wake John up. I'm sure I woke him up.
No,
I'm sorry,
it's
John.
fine. It's fine, John.
That's all right.
John, I have I have really enjoyed the conversation. Bearing some topics, we might have to bring you on a one-on-one. We explore these things and see what can be done. You know, it has been my pleasure once more to have you. Thank you once more for joining us in this conversation.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you, so Delhi, afterwards,
remember to invite me when you invite John. It's always interesting to listen to his analysis. Please.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Once you do that, just remember to
Delhi, you're a good man. I wish there were more of you in charge of Nigeria. It'd be a beautiful place.
If there were more of us, that means some people will be behind 6 feet by now because no.
Nothing. All right, you got that right.
Anyway, thank you very much. All right. Thank you, guys. So everyone, thank you very much for being part of it.